Before we find Louisiana Republican Senator, medical doctor Bill Cassidy, who's part of the bipartisan working group that's rolled out the two main proposals. Senator, appreciate you being with us and taking a brief respite from working the phones. Where are we exactly?
So the Majority Leader, Mitch McConnell, spoke today. He sounded optimistic. They're narrowing down the numbers of issues that are really sticking points down to one or two. I do anticipate, based on what I've been told, that we will have a deal by this evening and probably vote on it sometime tomorrow.
We've heard for so long from a number of folks up on Capitol Hill. I'll take the Republican side for just a minute, but from Mitch McConnell, how important indemnifying and dealing with coronavirus lawsuits are for businesses and protecting lawsuits from liability, protecting businesses from liability. And now that appears as though it may or may not be in the bill. People seem to be willing to give up so much right now just to get a bill. Does that sort of call into question how necessary those things were?
So we had a working group of 4 or 5 Democrats, 4 or 5 Republicans. The Republicans advocating for that sort of liability relief for this last year when the guidelines were very unclear. But Democrats really didn't want to go there. And whatever we offered still went too far for them in terms of liability relief. Now, Democrats wanted state and local aid. We linked those two together. But nonetheless, although we had a deal in state and local, we never got it on liability. At some point, you got to declare victory and come home. And we got what we could. We got the relief for the employers, for the employees, for the unemployed. We couldn't get liability relief. We have to work on that next Congress.
There seems to be this riff in the Senate right now over these additional checks. You've got Josh Hawley saying he wants $1,200 checks, another round, siding with Bernie Sanders. Hard to find two people who conceivably would be farther apart. And then your colleague Ron Johnson said this last night. Take a listen.
This is all borrowed money against our children's future, and we would have more money left over to target relief to the people who really need it right now. Look at all the small businesses that didn't get loans, didn't get relief. Look at the number of people that didn't do that. So Congress, it's easy to shovel money out. It's just easy to just pick a number and say, let's spend that. It's a little bit more difficult to actually look at the numbers, figure out the best way to target this, and that's what doesn't happen very often here in Congress.
Fair critique?
Fair critique. I'll say what Senator Sanders and Senator Hawley both said, that they would oppose money going to small employers to keep people employed, and oppose money going for unemployment for those who are unemployed, and money going for food relief, and money going for rental relief, and helping landlords too, because we didn't get checks. Now, the checks are okay, but the folks who are really hurting are the folks who are about to lose their business and laying off folks who otherwise would be employed. I say the best stimulus check is a paycheck. So I think there's a little bit of a different philosophy there. If we can, if checks are part of the deal, they'll be part of the deal. I think Ron Johnson's point was, let's take care of the folks who are really hurting, the unemployed, the folks about to lose their business, and therefore folks about to lose their jobs.
When you've got a Republican in Josh Hawley advocating for this, and President Trump has talked about checks as well, just sending out money to everybody, have Republicans sort of lost the North Star of fiscal conservatism?
So those two do not define all of conservatism, nor all of the Republican Party.
Right.
So we have to first, and there's always going to be diversity of opinion. Now, those checks are stimulatory. People are going to spend that money, and that does increase sales tax revenue and keep stores afloat, that sort of thing. I'm not arguing there's not a benefit there. But if you're talking about the folks who are of greatest need, they are the folks about to lose their job because the person who owns a small business is about to go bankrupt. So if we have to choose where we help first, let's help the folks about to lose their job, about to go bankrupt, because I think that
Neil Cavuto asked such an important question earlier of me, and I admit that the only answer I could give is it's 2020 and anything can happen. But that caveat aside, I'll put the same question to you. Which is there any way there's not a deal by tomorrow? Are we going to be going another few days on this?
I think there is a deal by tomorrow.
What would derail a deal?
I'm sorry?
What would derail
there's still 1 or 2 provisions that folks are striving to get common ground on, compromise.
Which would be what?
There's a little technical, but under the CARES Act, the Federal Reserve was given this ability to lend money to businesses.
Right.
We felt as Republicans that was an emergency issue. Now that the emergency is resolved for the bigger businesses, we should stand that down. Democrats wish to keep it. Kind of a technical point, but it's a sticking point right now.
Well, in such an important one, you can just imagine how the markets will react on Monday either way to that. In terms of looking at how businesses are going to be able to survive and get more loans from the federal government. I shouldn't say survive, but get more money from the federal government, which certainly changed things. Senator, we appreciate it, and we'll let you get back to the phones and to work.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate the time.